Hi, this is a video where we will look at adding and subtracting rational expressions. Now, whenever we're adding and subtracting rational expressions, we have to first come up with a common denominator. The first thing I notice here is that I have 2z plus 1 and 1 minus 2z. So what I'm going to do in this first case is factor out a negative, and that's going to leave me a positive 2z. All right, why? Because this was negative 2z. So if I take out the negative, it becomes positive, minus 1. Okay, why? Because when I take out the negative, the positive 1 becomes negative. Now, when we discuss removing the negative sign from the denominator, we've talked about the easiest thing to do with it is to move it to the numerator. So I'm going to rewrite my first term as minus 2z. Okay, the minus comes from the denominator. I've just moved it to the numerator. And now my denominator is 2z minus 1. My second term, I have plus 3z over 2z plus 1. That's going to pretty much stay the same for now. Okay. And then if we look at our last term, I have 4z squared minus 1. This looks an awful lot like Mr. Formula. In other words, this is a perfect square of 2z, and this is a perfect square of 1. And Mr. Formula says that as long as I'm subtracting two perfect squares, it factors into 2, that's a 2, believe it or not, z plus 1 to z minus 1. Okay, so that is what my last term is. I'm subtracting 3 over 2z plus 1 to z minus 1. And now it becomes fairly obvious what our least common multiple is in this case. All right, I have a 2z minus 1, a 2z plus 1, and a 2z plus 1 times 2z minus 1. So this actually is my least common multiple. So what I want to do is get each of these first two terms in terms of my common denominator. So I have minus 2z over 2z minus 1, and I want to get that in terms of 2z plus 1 times 2z. Sorry, my z's look like 2's and vice versa, minus 1. Okay, so what is my denominator missing? Well, my denominator is missing the 2z plus 1 part. So I'm going to multiply my denominator by 2z plus 1. And whatever I do in the denominator, I have to do in the numerator. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute this. I have minus 2z times 2z is going to give me a minus 4z squared. Okay, all I did was multiply this by this. Negative 2 times 2 gave me a minus 4. Z times z gave me z squared. And then I just have a plus 1 times minus 2z, so that's going to be a minus 2z. So that's my first term. The second term becomes 3z, and it's over 2z plus 1. I need to get it in terms of my common denominator, which is 2z plus 1, 2z minus 1. Okay. Obviously, in this case, my denominator is missing the 2z minus 1 part. Okay, this is a 2 here. All right. And whatever I multiply the denominator by, I have to multiply the numerator by 2z minus 1. Again, to save a step, I'm going to go ahead and distribute my 3z. So 3z times 2z gives me 6z squared. And 3z times negative 1 gives me minus 3z. So now I'm ready to reset this problem up. Here's my first term. Then it's plus my second term, so it's going to be plus the 6z squared minus 3z all over that common denominator, which is 2z plus 1, 2z minus 1, and then minus 3 over that common denominator, 2z plus 1, 2z minus 1. Okay. And now remember, whenever we're adding or subtracting rational expressions, we do the operations in the top and we're just going to keep the denominator. So in this case, my denominator is going to be the 2z plus 1, 2z minus 1. And now I'm just going to do all the operations in the top. Here I have a minus 4z squared, and here I have plus 6z squared, so that's going to become 2z squared. Here I have a minus 2z and a minus 3z, so that's going to become a minus 5z. All right. And now let's look. I'm subtracting here. So there's only one term, so I need to make sure I distribute my negative sign to the 3, so it's going to be minus 3. Now if there's more than one term, don't forget you have to distribute to those as well. So this is going to be my answer here. Now in this case, there is one more step we could take. We could actually factor out the numerator. And if you take the time to do this, you will see that the numerator factors into 2z plus 1 times z minus 3. Okay, and now our denominator was 2z plus 1 times 2z minus 1. In this particular case, notice that my 2z plus 1's would cancel. And the simplified answer would be z minus 3 over 2z minus 1. Okay, so we always want to factor our numerator if we can and see if it reduces down to something. And in this case, it did.